What's going on, guys and gals? It's 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and you are listening to the Geek World All-Star Podcast Network.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malastare. You are listening to So Wizard.
You're thinking people gonna die?
The only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
There'll be no one to stop us this time.
What's going on, everybody? It is time for episode number 271 of the So Wizard podcast. I'm your host, Joey DiCarlo. This week, my co-host. First up, we have the expert, Mr. Marcellus Reagans.
Yeah, I am back. What's going on, everybody?
And our special guest this week with Aubrey Litchfield away on assignment from the West Coast, the best coast, the man, the myth, the legend, Iko The Rainman.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. It's morphin' time. Let's do it.
Glad to have you back, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to always be here with you guys.
You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends discuss the world of nerd, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. This week, we're going to talk some news, including a new trailer for Jungle Cruise. And then we've got a full review and reaction to the new DC EU movie. Is it DCEU? Does it not count? Who knows? We'll figure it out. Joker. All right, before we get into any of that, let's talk to our guest. Iko, you just dropped a new album. Tell us all about it and what it's all about and where we can get it.
Whoa, huh? Thank you for the plug. I appreciate it. Put you on the
spot. Talk about yourself.
Absolutely. So Lyrical Gohan is the current Iko The Rainman album that is out from Operation 5 AM. It's been in development for 2.5 years. So it feels like this huge boulder has been lifted from my back now that I'm finally able to show people, the 15 songs that I worked on. It is currently available at IkoTheRainman.net, which is the website where you could pick up pretty much all of my stuff, including a few bits of merchandise. It's available on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Kazaa, LimeWire. So you're able to get it pretty much anywhere.
Can I get it on Napster?
You could certainly get it on Napster, I think. I'm pretty sure. Wait, is Napster still a thing? Yeah, it is available on all streaming platforms. So however means you get your music, that'll be the way to do that. So if anyone shows some support, you don't have to buy the album, which is, the thing about music nowadays. You're able to stream it on multiple platforms for free. Basically, the album is, sort of my journey within the last 3 years. There's a lot of, smack talking. There's a lot of personal endeavors that I went through that I put there within the lyrics and the songs itself. It's certainly a new branch for the way that I've delivered music as far as just the instrumentals, the lyrics. It's kind of like a new style that I've been playing around with. So go check it out. And before, I put out my next project within the next few months, it'll be a shorter project, something short and sweet, just to be able to provide, a little bit of sound bites for people to listen to. Because I'm kind of going on a hiatus for the next year. There'll still be music and videos put out throughout that time, but I'm focusing this time that I have to myself to work on my novel, which I will speak further into detail at another time.
Nice. Now, dude, I know, it's available to stream and people can get it, through Spotify and iTunes and all of that stuff. But you did something a little unique as far as like the packaging to sell like an actual physical album. Something I thought was really cool, something I'm surprised that a lot more artists don't do. Talk a little bit about how you made it into a USB drive where you can get the album and probably get like a lot more content than just like an album.
No, thank you. I actually really appreciate you bringing that up. I almost forgot. So I came across an underground artist who I believe his name is Kambata. My buddy bought an album from him, and he's pretty low key as far as he's not a mainstream artist. And he put out an album through a USB drive. And I have to give credit where credit is due. I wish I was the first one who have done this. But there's been also a lot of comedians who have released albums on USB drives. As you know, CD drives or CD players nowadays are kind of like a foreign object.
Yep.
And I was like, this is brilliant. because creating a custom USB drive is not very expensive. You could probably spend about $6 to $9 on getting your own custom printed USB drive. So what I did was I contacted this company. I wish I had their name in my head right now to give them a little plug. And I decided to, it's basically the size of a debit card. It's about as little bit thicker than a debit card. It's probably as thick as like 2 debit cards like stacked on top of each other. So you could literally put it in your wallet. And it's a perfect means to be able to put out an album. Because like I said, like a lot of cars nowadays have USB slots in them, whether it either to charge your phone or be able to plug in like media devices.
Right.
So if you have a USB drive in your car, you could literally just pop it in that way and you could listen to the album, or you rip it from your computer and pop it on your phone. And something that I thought would be really handy. It's really cool. It's sort of a collector's item, think of it like my way of trying to tamper with trading cards, which is something that I joked about earlier. But it's cool because like you could get different size storage. You can get like 128 megabytes, or you can get like a gigabyte. So I will be releasing, this is something that's coming within like the next month or so, is basically you get the album and you get all the music videos that the album has put out so far. So you get the original copies to be able to watch in 4K and the WAV files, because most albums you download are going to be on MP3, but when you bounce a sound file, as I'm sure you know, Marcus, is the WAV is definitely the way to do it, because you don't lose any audio quality when you do it that way.
Right. That's cool.
So if you visit IkoTheRainman.net, you could pick up a copy, and it comes with a free T-shirt.
Come on, how cool is that? I think that's awesome, dude.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That is awesome. And we will give you another chance to plug that at the end so all our listeners can make sure to go check it out. Mark Hellis, how are you? Have you gotten con crud yet?
Yes, I did. A little bit. Not as bad as most people, but I did feel a little drained down. But I'm also working on a couple of projects actually, that have to be done really soon. So that's consuming all of my time. And I've definitely bitten off more than I can chew, but I'm gonna try it. I got 2 weeks to finish these. I'm gonna try it. Con crud, be damned.
Wow, excellent. I don't know why all my stories involve poop lately, but I was doing
Sounds
good.
like my life.
Yeah, seriously, I was doing good. I came home from the con Saturday. When we get home late Saturday night into Sunday.
Yeah, like early Sunday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I slept. I think we may have talked about this a little bit on last week's show. I hadn't have any con crud, and then I was at work Wednesday morning, so it was Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and I could feel my eyes start to hurt, like the back of my eyes like hurt. I was like, uh-oh. And then I went home and I just felt like absolute doo-doo feces for the whole day. And then I went and saw Joker. I said, fuck it, let's just go see Joker tonight. I got home from the movies and I just went to bed. And then I didn't work on Thursday because I called out because I was fucking sick as fuck.
Wow, you never call out.
I know, and that's the only day I can call out because we actually have coverage that doesn't like wreck everybody's night. So So the next Friday, I was feeling okay, and I woke up and got in the shower, and I had to go get gas. So I drove, it's like in a circle. I drove to the gas station at one place, so then I could then turn to the right and then get on the Pike and then head to the Pike to the mall. So I could work at job number 2, so I could then go to job number 1. And I ate before I left the house, and then I guess I still wasn't feeling better because my stomach was like, no. But it was like 5:15 p.m., so it was rush hour traffic, and I didn't think I was going to make it to the mall. So I did something I never have done before in my life, which is to pull over on the side of the road.
No way.
And I ran into the woods and took a giant dump.
That is classic. I'm actually really proud of you. Shitting in the woods is not something that many people can claim that they have done. So good for you. Probably all that whiskey and Comic-Con food that you binged while you were there.
I did not sing the Dig a Hole song from Dora the Explorer, the movie, though.
That would have been perfect.
I know. But I was so terrified that I was going to get clipped because I was parked in the breakdown lane. I was terrified I was going to get clipped and run over by a car, and that would be just like the most awful way to die. Like, some people like die for something like, oh, you went to war, or you died standing up for a cause. And like, I died getting hit by a car after shitting in the woods. But enough about us. Let's talk about us. Marcellus, tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard podcast and less poop.
All right. So everybody can go to sowizardpodcast.com where they will find new episodes every week, find movie reviews from yours truly, Netflix and Amazon streaming picks from our buddy, the awesome Adam Mollyhawk. You also find our merchandise there. You can purchase some of our So Wizard t-shirts and look good while you're representing the show. Another great way to support our show is by doing your Amazon shopping through the link that we keep right on the website. Click on that big A, do your Amazon shopping, receive your products, and that way you'll be helping out our tiny little show. You can also find our social media links there. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review while you're there. You can also find us on a Stitcher Radio app for your tablet or smartphone, Podbean, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. We have a Patreon account that you can support. Patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast. Donate a little bit of funds and you can get bonus content from us. We also have a YouTube page that is filled with new videos, especially from New York Comic Con. So definitely check that out. Shout out to the Geek World All-Stars Podcasting Network. Shout out to Iko The Rainman for bringing this week's social media music. Back to you, Joey.
Have you ever danced with a devil in the pale moonlight? Did you? No, but I did. And I did like a devil.
It's a little joker for that ass.
All right, Marcellus, drop us with some news. Let's get to it.
Yo, pump it up. It's time for the news. Yo, we getting ready to bring you the news, boy.
All right, so this week in nerdy news, we got some casting news for the new Matrix movie. They said before that Matrix 4 was coming out. We're only getting one of the Wachowskis back behind the director's chair. I was under the impression that Michael B. Jordan had this gig locked down. I thought for sure he was the star of it. I even thought there was like rumors of him in Chicago, like getting ready for this. But apparently that's not the case. They actually just gave the lead role to another actor, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who you might remember from Aquaman. He played Black Manta. He was the dad in Jordan Peele's Us, the first dad, not the dad of the family later on in the movie. He was in the Get Down, and he's also going to be the new Candyman. So he's blowing up. He is like definitely a talented dude. I'm a little surprised that he's going to be in the Matrix 4, but the guy's been, other than some of the decisions in Aquaman, the guy's pretty solid. So, I'm psyched for this. I think it's going to be cool. What do you guys think of Black Manta taking on the Matrix 4? Let's start with our guest, Iko.
I think it's actually pretty cool. I think they'll probably have him replace Neo, and then Neo will probably, or the original Neo, Keanu Reeves, will probably take on the role as the mentor.
Yep.
Basically Morpheus has probably stepped down, depending on what we do with the story, and then he'll be looking for the new one. As far as Michael B. Jordan not being in this movie, I think he might actually still be in the other Matrix movie because, as we know, there are 2 Matrix movies being worked on right now. One of them is apparently a prequel or a spinoff, and you still can have a young Morpheus be played by Michael B. Jordan. Because as much as I love Keanu Reeves and I wouldn't want to replace him for anyone else, Michael B. Jordan is definitely, it kind of bums me out that he's not involved with the Matrix 4, but I think having him play a young Morpheus in the prequel or whatever it's going to be would still be a good idea and still probably being considered, especially if they are going to do a young Morpheus storyline.
I say Michael B. Jordan for everything. Damn it. Let him play Trinity for all I care. I don't care.
That's your solution for everything.
It is. All right. Joey, what about you, man? How do you feel about Black Manta joining the Matrix?
Well, what if he's going to play the big floating baby head that controls the machines?
There was not a big floating baby head.
Yes, there was. Did you not see Matrix 3?
I might have blocked that part out of my brain.
It wasn't that bad. Come on.
That's
no
right.
Batman versus Superman, but come on, guys.
Yahya Han-Mateen as floating baby head. I could see the poster right now on the wall of the movie theater.
All right, so that's your take. You just don't want him to be the baby head. That's all.
What if he's the Merovingian? He's just a talking a French accent the whole time.
That'd be awesome. I'd watch
Actually,
that.
that'd be pretty amazing. I'd be actually pretty interested to see if this movie just took the piss out of the first three movies. It was just more of a comedy. But yeah, I mean, he was good in Us for what limited things he did.
Mm-hmm.
What else was he in? I mean, I know I saw him. Obviously, we saw him in Aquaman, but other than Aquaman,
Yeah, he was in the Get Down.
Wasn't he also in Endgame and Black Panther? Or am I mistaken?
No.
no, I
Not
know
him.
just because he's black, he wasn't in Black Panther.
All right.
What if-
Well, that was my racist comment for today.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night.
We can check that one off the list right there. I don't think there's got to be some kind of law that permits actors for being in like one big superhero franchise into a different one. So I'm pretty sure he's not in any Marvel movies at all right now. Just strictly. But Joe, you didn't watch The Get Down, right?
No, that's what I was going to ask you if he was good in that.
Oh, he's amazing in that. He's
Okay.
almost unrecognizable. Like between that character and Black Manta, you wouldn't even believe it's the same person. It's amazing.
Because I thought the action in Aquaman was great, but he just basically did a lot of yelling. So, like, hopefully he won't just be yelling all the time.
Yeah.
I'll get him for you, Dad.
And the more I thought about Aquaman as time passed on, that movie was awful.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
Wow. We said when we reviewed it, I like Jason Momoa. I like the action scenes. Amber Heard's hot, but unfortunately there has to be a movie to go along with it. So,
There was a scene where like Amber Heard and Jason Momoa were on the boat and they're having like an emotional moment, and I was like, I feel like someone who like writes the scripts for like pornos literally got their hands on the script, and I was like, all right, are they going to start fucking right now? Because like this is so bad. Like the audience was laughing like during the scene, and I'll never forget that. And it wasn't because it was like a funny moment. It's just like the awkward acting and chemistry they had was just so bad, and God bless them.
maybe it was a spiritual successor to Jesse Jane is Pirates.
Oh, Jesus. Nobody remembers that.
Deep cut. Maybe we should do the R-rated version of that for Patreon. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't seen him be terrible in anything. He was fine in the action sequences, and Aquaman seems like a cool dude. It's really, it could be anybody. You could cast anybody in this. I'm really worried about the script, and I'm really worried about having the Wachowskis anywhere near this project other than showing up at the premiere and waving to everybody. So,
yeah, I mean, they haven't really hit a home run since what, The Matrix? Like, I mean,
1999?
they wrote V for Vendetta, but they didn't direct that movie. Am I correct on that one?
Right.
They didn't technically direct it, but you can tell that they were hovering above the director's shoulders. You know what I mean?
Involved, yeah. And they also did Speed Racer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I hear some people say that movie is really awful, but the majority of people seem to really, really like Speed Racer. I'm just worried that, I don't know, I would have preferred to have seen another director take a swing at it. You know, maybe like, I don't know, I'm throwing out some names. I forgot the gentleman's name who directed the first three John Wicks, maybe even Christopher Nolan, or gosh, I forget his name, who directed Black Panther and Creed.
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler. He would. I would love to see a Ryan Coogler Matrix movie being directed, but we still have that possibility of a different director tackling the franchise with the prequel being worked on.
Yeah, it'll be the other Wachowski sister because only one of them's doing the sequel, so one of them will do the prequel.
Dueling Wachowski movies, back to back
right.
dueling Matrix movies. That'd be awesome.
It's like dueling banjos, but with computers.
So I have a question for both of you. What would you like to see in this movie, or what do you think that they can do to sort of reinvent the wheel? Because if you remember when the first Matrix came out, it was, you know, like it was kind of like a revolution when it came to filmmaking. Like a lot of movies parried it afterwards, and it just kind of changed filmmaking in general. And I thought about this question for a while, so I don't particularly have an answer for you guys, but do you think that there's a way that they could sort of recapture that, you know, that leap that they made with the first movie?
No. The problem with the first Matrix movie is, as amazing as it was, it's a snapshot in time. It's been referenced and re-referenced and referenced again in so many movies that you can't just show up with Keanu Reeves in a trench coat and bullet time cameras and expect people to be blown away again. So it has to be a good movie first. And I really like to see some awesome, crazy action sequences. I think action filmmaking has gone to another level since then. You watch something like The Raid. You watch the sequence in just even in Captain America Civil War, that whole sequence where Bucky breaks out of the prison and fights Black Panther in street clothes. I think that's like a whole next level from what they were doing 20 something years ago. So that's why I'm worried about one of the Wachowskis coming back and directing this, because I don't think they have the chops for this anymore. And they can't just show up with the same old shit in a movie that makes no fucking sense. Or this franchise is fucking dead. Dead as a doornail. So I was really hoping to get more of an action thing. I just really want to see big, kick-ass martial arts action scenes. That's all I care about. So
yeah, it's really going to be dependent on the script. The Matrix, if you take out like a lot of the advanced special effects that they did in there, at its core, it's still a pretty good story. It's still a really good comic book movie. Like that movie could still work without all of the bells and whistles. Speed Racer, they pushed technology so far ahead as far as regarding 3D environments and 3D sets and editing. They really did develop a new way of filmmaking. But the thing is, no one cared because no one cared about the story. But if you ever saw like the making of Speed Racer, like what they did to achieve those effects, it's groundbreaking, almost as groundbreaking as The Matrix. It's just that it was a shitty script that people didn't gravitate to. I personally love Speed Racer. You know, if you put just 2 Matchbox cars on a set for 2 hours, I'm fine. I'll still give that movie a thumbs up. But that's just me.
Mark's easy to please. I'm just kidding. No, I feel like I'm responsible for The Matrix 4. So
it's all your fault.
You guys, I willed it into existence. I don't know if you guys were catching my rant. Like I made a joke to myself. I was like, I need to rewatch this movie to see, because like when I first watched The Matrix, I absolutely loved that fucking movie. And at the time, because I was younger, the story didn't connect with me as much because like it was just all went over my head. And I was like, all right, let's see how I think about this movie. And at least like in the 2019 rendition, because I have a lot of fond memories of it. So I put it on Netflix and I watched the movie, and what I walked away, I mean, the fights were still great. Like everything was still like what I loved before, like the action was still phenomenal. But I really connected a lot with the story and sci-fi element that they went with, like being, you know, inside of a machine in this, you know, virtual reality simulator that like there was a lot of, I don't know how to word this, but like sci-fi poetry to The Matrix. And I actually fell in love with the movie in a way that I haven't before, just trying to connect with the story. And it was so weird because like I couldn't stop thinking about the movie, where like literally the next night I put it on again and I was like, I have to consume this movie again. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was just like, all right, if they were to do a Matrix 4, like what would they do? And I started thinking about that. And I was just like, God damn it, why don't we get a Matrix 4? And I was making a joke with my girlfriend. And I was just like, I'll give them a week to announce the Matrix 4. Otherwise, I'm going to start losing my shit. And I swear to God, the next day, like they announced the Matrix 4. And I was just like, all right, I'm definitely being watched and I need to watch what I say.
That's like when my phone starts showing me advertisements for food we carry at work when I never search anything related to work on my phone. So the Wachowskis are in your phone, taking all your ideas. They're writing it down right now.
The Matrix is real.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
That's what it is.
All right, Marcellus, what's next?
All right. So next on the docket, it looks like we got to go back.
We have to go back!
DCEU is back on the big screen. We got a trailer for Birds of Prey and the fully emancipation of one Harley Quinn, or it's a really long title, but we talked about it before on the show. We got our first look at some actual footage from the movie. What did you guys think of the trailer for Birds of Prey? Let's start with you, Joey.
I thought it looked terrible.
Really?
Yeah. It looked like Harley Quinn, the movie, sometimes featuring birds of prey, not in costume. It wasn't a good trailer to start. Like right off the bat, this is not a good trailer. So I was not feeling anything about the movie after seeing the trailer. It all looked really flat and boring.
Wow.
And then there's nothing there. I mean, it's just looked like a Harley Quinn movie. I guess that's what you have to sell, but like, I'm angry already that it's not actually Birds of Prey because there's no Oracle. It's not focused on Huntress and fucking Black Canary. They're not in their costumes. Like, already I'm angry. And then it's like they look like bit players in their own movie, and they're not in fucking costume. And I don't know. It just didn't feel like a good trailer at all. Like I wasn't. If I didn't have to see this for the podcast, I don't know if I would actually go see it in the movie theater. I've got to be quite honest. It has nothing to do with DCEU. It just didn't look interesting. Not even Margot Robbie in hot pants was driving me to go see this movie.
All right. Iko, what about you, man? How'd you feel about the trailer?
I mean, I have to kind of echo the same statements. It wasn't particularly a bad trailer. Like, it wasn't like edited poorly. It's just that the material that I saw just wasn't, I don't know, like, even so, this is definitely a Harley Quinn movie. It's not a Birds of Prey movie. That's the feeling that I got from it. And yeah, I don't even really know who the other characters are. I mean, I know who they are from comic book lore, but just being someone who, let's say I didn't know anything about comic books and just watched that movie, I'd be like, oh, it's a Harley Quinn movie, but without the Joker. And I don't even know what they're doing with the other characters. Like the Black Canary character, like, does she have superpowers in this movie? Like, I didn't even know which one was which while I was watching the trailer. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like a montage of really bad Harley Quinn lines that was just delivered. As much as I love Margot Robbie, my future wife, it's just, I don't know. This is, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure it'll make a lot of money, but to be honest with you guys, I mean, I haven't updated you guys in a while, but I just kind of don't give a shit about the DCEU anymore.
Whoa.
You know?
Wow. With DCEU has lost Iko the Rainman. There's problems.
Right.
There's problems.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it died with probably Wonder Woman, because this is a controversial statement, but Batman vs Superman is probably my favorite superhero movie of all time. The director's cut. You could laugh at me if you want. It's just more of a fascination that I have with that movie. I mean, I understand that there's problems that I tend to mostly disagree with, but I really enjoyed Wonder Woman. Justice League made me cry. Aquaman was a very expensive porno movie, and I don't know, like I actually really did like Shazam, but the only problem is, like, with these movies, like, if they're just referencing other movies that sort of exist in its world, I kind of don't care, because I was kind of hoping that there would be a like overlining like seed throughout all these movies, where that they're hinting like at a greater big bad, like where there'd be like some massive team up, but like with the Avengers, or, you know, when you started getting sprinkles of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, like throughout all the Marvel movies, like, you know that they're building up to something. Whether now they kind of exist on their own, and it's just, I don't know, who gives a shit.
I really needed more from this trailer than Margot Robbie with a New Jersey accent walking around, and I didn't get it.
And no, Black Mask didn't even have his mask on. Like, that's like the coolest thing about the characters. He's a gangster with like this black skull mask on, and I don't know.
He should have changed his name to White Guy. Because he doesn't have a black mask on, so...
You guys, I think you guys are both crazy. I love this trailer. I will be there
shut up.
day fucking one to see this movie. And maybe I am crazy. The only Birds of Prey that I know of is the TV show.
The TV show looks better than this.
The Emmy Award-winning TV show. It's a great show.
I really liked this trailer. I really did. I thought it worked for what it's supposed to be. And you are absolutely right. It doesn't look like they put a lot of light on the other characters. Like, you have no idea about Black Canary or Huntress or someone else, like a third one. I don't know. But you have no idea like what's going on with their story. But I liked Harley. I like Margot Robbie as Harley. I like the fact that they showed that she's crazy. It's kind of like a female Joker movie. And I love the fact that she has her hyena from the cartoon show. That part I think is fucking awesome. So yeah, she roller skates behind a car. She kicks some ass. She rescues a girl. She blows up cars with dynamite. I mean, I don't know what you guys were expecting for a Harley Quinn movie, but I'm all in. Chips pushed all the way in. I'm ready.
Well, since you mentioned the Birds of Prey TV show, I just want to send a shout out to Dina Meyer, star of Starship Troopers, for being hot as fuck in that show. Thank you.
And also, I feel like I need to clarify, like, to me, it didn't look awful. I just kind of just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
I want to watch the movie and I want it to be awesome. I want to walk out and be like, wow, that was a great movie. Like, I'm not like wishing this movie, like, I don't do that with any movie, even a movie that I'm like, oh, I don't give a shit or it looks awful. Like, I want to walk into that theater and be like, this was great. You know, I don't wish like that kind of negative sentiment towards like filmmakers, especially towards a property that I love. But with this trailer, it was just a montage to me, which is fine, I guess, because it's like a teaser trailer. But I didn't really get hints of the other characters, which are the characters that I was a little bit more interested in, because I already know when we walk into that movie, all three of us will be like, regardless of the opinion, we'll be like, well, at least Margot Robbie was good. But what about the other characters? So we'll see. I wish they would have not made it like a team of, what is it, like 5 or 6 girls? And it would have been like maybe like Margot Robbie, Black Canary, Catwoman, and I don't know, Poison Ivy, or like characters that like speak more to a wider audience and have the story be focused on, you know, 3 or 4 individuals instead of like a, you know, basically another Suicide Squad movie where there's really only one character to sort of center your focus around.
Well, I think if this movie does well, we will get one of those Gotham Siren movies with Poison Ivy and Catwoman and all of that stuff. I think that could happen down the road, but we need this one to be successful.
Well, I have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Let's place a little bet here. Will Jared Leto make a cameo in this movie that's not a worded cameo? Because we already got, you know, mention of him in the movie trailer. Will he actually make an appearance?
Yes, but he'll be in a kimono like in Blade Runner 2049.
He will not be in this movie. I have already seen the Joker scenes in it, and it's not Jared Leto. The Joker's in it. He's in it. There's definitely a dude there with green hair and white skin and all of that stuff. It's not Jared Leto.
Wait, you saw the Joker in this movie? Explain
Yes.
a little further.
I saw him and Harley breaking up. Like I think he kicks her out of the house or something, and she walks away, and he's throwing the furniture like out on the lawn, or maybe the other way around. I don't know. I did see that scene though.
Are you fucking with me? Like,
no,
really?
Yes.
Sounds like a bad sitcom. But wait a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're telling me that there's another recasting of a Joker, or was it just like a stand-in?
It's a stand-in.
Didn't really,
right.
So it didn't show his face or anything.
Right. You see him from a distance.
Like in Shazam, where like Superman shows up, but we don't see his face.
Right.
Oh, God, that was awful. That made me cry.
They should have Jamie Walters from 90210 be the Joker, and he could push her down the stairs like Donna.
That is a deep cut for like 5 people out there.
Somebody's gonna enjoy that.
So wait a minute, where did they show this footage? Because again, like I have no reason to doubt you. I just haven't heard of anything about that at all. Like I wasn't even aware that there was even like footage shown. Was this shown at Comic-Con?
Through means that I rather not divulge at this time, but it is out there.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we'll see.
All right. So then the last trailer that I wanted to talk about was Disney's Jungle Cruise. The Rock, or I'm sorry, excuse me, Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt in another Disney movie that's patterned after a ride at Disney World or Disneyland. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, the trailer came out and it looks interesting. Iko, what did you think of the Jungle Cruise trailer?
It looked all right. It didn't look like bad. It looked a little bit more interesting than the Birds of Prey trailer, to be completely honest with you. I love Emily Blunt. I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This movie will be one of two things. It's either going to be another Jumanji where it just makes $1 billion plus, or it'll be one of those Disney movies that they release. I know Jumanji's not Disney, but it'll be one of those Disney movies. What was it? What was the one that they released last winter? That was just basically like a commercial flop. And I'm not saying that this will be a flop, but it'll make like okay money, because I'm not sure what the appeal is to go see this movie outside of like the 2 main actors and actors. So yeah, it looks fine. It kind of gives you that Indiana Jones vibe, kind of what was it, late 90s The Mummy vibe with Brendan Fraser. So yeah, it looks all right. You know, I'm thinking that they're hoping for another Pirates of the Caribbean success, since they're probably not going to make any more Pirates movies for a while, at least not with Johnny Depp, with all the controversy surrounding him and Amber Heard's wrestling matches that they've been having throughout these last few years. But so yeah, we'll see. I'm I'll probably go watch it with my girlfriend. It'll probably be at most entertaining.
All right, Joey. What about you, man? What'd you think of this trailer?
I thought it was fantastic. I am 100% all in on this movie.
This gets all of the love, and Birds of Prey gets nothing.
Just like Iko said, it looked like goofy fun. It looked like a riff almost on the old Mummy movies. I love The Rock. I love Emily Blunt, and I don't know. There really hasn't been this type of movie outside of Jumanji, and even that was a little meta goofy. So this is like straightforward. We're in the past and we're having a wacky adventure, and it's not tied to like a previous superhero franchise or anything. It could be fun. We haven't had this type of movie in a while, and it's exciting.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I liked about it too, because I thought it was going to be a movie that was set in contemporary times, but it's set in it looks like the 40s, 30s, 50s,
40s, yeah,
something like that. Yeah, and that made me more interested in the movie than it being a movie that was set, in 2019 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's good for Disney to try to, like you said, Iko, they want to recapture that Pirates of the Caribbean lightning in a bottle. So yeah, if this movie is successful, guaranteed there's going to be sequels. Guaranteed they're going to up the ride at whatever park it is to get more people into it. So yeah, it's a good idea for marketing. The movie, it looks just like The Mummy to me. Looks like just like the first two Mummy movies.
Is that a bad thing though?
The Tom Cruise one or the Brendan Fraser one?
No.
La
La Momia? No, it looks like the Brendan Fraser ones. We ironically starred The Rock in the second one. But yeah.
Hopefully not the third one.
I didn't mind the third one with Jet Li.
Oh.
I didn't mind that one.
The idea of Jet Li playing a mummy villain literally brought me to that theater, but I left very disappointed when I saw the third Mummy. I didn't hate it. I mean, I'd have to watch it again. I own all three movies on Steelbook, so I'd have to see how I'd feel about the third one, but I don't know. I was just kind of disappointed. Yeah. They did have Yetis in the movie, snow Yetis. So that didn't make it complete bullshit.
How many Scorpion Kings do you have in your library?
I actually think that does come with the first Scorpion King.
Yeah,
because I was at Best Buy recently and they had like the Mummy like collection on Steelbook for like $27.
Yeah.
I think it came with like 4 movies. I think it came with the first 3 Mummy movies and I think the Scorpion King. I'd have to check. I'd probably do that in a minute, but I'll update you in a little while.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe the Scorpion King is up to 5 movies.
That's amazing. Pretty soon they'll just cross over with Fast and the Furious.
I love it when movies like that actually get movies that were just so bad. When I saw The Mummy in theaters, or not The Mummy, the Scorpion King, I was like, this movie is fucking garbage. Yep. And then just like Joey just said, like they're like up to the 5th or 6th movie, and just like, how is this possible?
I love it.
Jesus, the last one came out in 2018, Scorpion King: A Book of Souls, and the only person I even recognize on the fucking cast is Zach McGowan, who played the weird Russian evil guy in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4.
Nope.
Oh, his other highlights include Terminator Salvation.
Oh,
it's a great movie. You know what? I saw Terminator Salvation recently again. I'm not going to completely hate on that movie. That movie wasn't as awful as some, Terminator Vaginesis, but I thought it had some really cool plot elements to it. I just think it would have been benefited a lot more if it was just a rated R movie and just had a little bit stronger story. But that movie wasn't trash. I'd probably give that movie around a 6 or a 7, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I just want to add that I enjoyed The Rock in the beginning of this trailer and his shitty Jungle Cruise with the bad special effects, because it's just like the ride at Disney World. Have you guys ever been on this ride?
No. I didn't even know it was a ride until they announced the movie.
Which park is it on again? Is it at...
It's in both.
Is it in Magic Kingdom or I forgot which one?
Yeah.
I think we did go on it, if I'm not mistaken, and I did like it. But I was actually going to ask you guys, what other rides do you see them making movies out of? Because I'm not the biggest Disney theme park connoisseur, so I wouldn't even know how to answer that question, but...
Well, yeah, I was just saying that because when you go on the Jungle Cruise, the guy driving the boat makes really bad dad jokes and stuff, and the special effects aren't very special because it's one of the original rides. So that was a nice throwback to that. Rides they should make into Hall of Presidents.
They should make that into a movie.
Yep, animatronic presidents attack like Banana Splits, but not
good.
shitty. I'd like to see a haunted mansion, but not terrible.
Yeah, Tower of Terror would probably be a good one. Is that still owned by Disney? Wasn't that like a Twilight Zone ride or something like that?
It's Twilight Zone themed. I believe there was a Disney Channel original movie that was a Halloween themed Tower of Terror movie.
Yeah, all the movies that they've turned into, or all the rides that they turned into movies. So we got Tomorrowland, the Country Bears, Tower of Terror. So there was a movie in 1997. There's Mission to Mars, The Haunted Mansion, and of course Pirates of the Caribbean.
Steve Guttenberg is Tower of Terror, 1997.
Yeah, funny enough, I only knew 2 of these movies' existence, so doesn't look like they had that success with Pirates of the Caribbean. So yeah,
if they could just make a ride out of those teacups that spin around, then I'll be all over that. That's a movie. They make a movie out of those teacups. I'll be all over that.
Michael B. Jordan is Teacups.
Seriously,
summer 2021.
Shut up and take my money right now.
They should make a horror movie based on the Small World. Have you guys ever been on that ride? It's a little kids ride, but that's probably the scariest ride I've ever been on in my life. I still have nightmares from it.
Maybe that can be the follow-up to Gemini Man by Ang Lee, Mark. You can do a Michael B. Jordan is Teacups and 30 frames per second.
I'm there day one.
All right. So is that all we got? Is that going to wrap it up for news, Mark?
Yes, that is it for the news.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get our review of Joker.
The biggest show in the smallest state returns November 1st through the 3rd. Join us in the Family Truckster to the Griswold Family Reunion featuring Chevy Chase. Meet legendary comic book artists and cast members from Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Star Trek, Marvel, and more at Rhode Island Comic-Con. Presented by Cardi's Furniture and Mattresses. Buy tickets now at ricomiccon.com, the Dunkin' Donuts Center box office, or any Toy Vault location.
And we're back. All right, guys. We all had a chance to see Joaquin Phoenix is Joker. And we're going to talk non-spoiler. Then Mark will drop the spoiler sound drop, and you'll know to avert your ears if you haven't seen it yet. But let's just go around and start and get some initial impressions. Iko, what did you think of Joker?
I absolutely love this movie. As you guys have probably heard me, raving about it on my social media, but I found this movie so fascinating. I saw it twice. I plan to go see it in chapter 2 once again, and just shouting that movie out. But I absolutely love this movie. We'll wait a little bit further to get into further details, but I can't stop thinking about this movie.
Mark Ellis.
Yeah, I really appreciated the effort of this movie. It definitely requires a second viewing to really absorb it, but from a technical standpoint, it's really amazing. And it works on so many different levels. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it on those few different levels, but yeah, I wasn't upset. I didn't leave the theater kicking and screaming. I enjoyed it for the most part. Joey, I'm waiting for this one.
It's all right.
Just okay?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like I ever need to watch this movie ever again.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Phoenix did a really good job acting. There's not much there. It's the whole movie is just him. He's in almost every scene.
Which is brilliant, but I'm going to rip into you guys in a second.
That's fine. A lot of it felt like it should be called Try Hard with a Vengeance instead of Joker.
No.
And I don't know. It's not my type of movie. You know what I mean? It's just not my thing. So I can appreciate that it's well made and that there's good performances in it, but I'm probably never going to watch it again.
Now, was it the story that didn't pique your interest? Because from a technical standpoint, we all seem to be in agreement that the movie was brilliantly well made. But
well, the acting was good. The directing was okay. It was mostly just a love letter to those type of movies. Somebody sat down and was like, I want to make a movie that looks like Taxi Driver or the Warriors.
Yes.
Well, with that lived in like 70s New York City like look. And like they were that almost seemed like it was more important than having a movie. Like it was more important the way it looked than the actual movie because there's not much movie there. So yeah, so it was okay. I you know, it was fine.
Wow.
But
all right.
Any other non-spoiler thoughts, or should we just jump right into spoilers?
Yeah, I feel like you can't really talk about this movie without spoiling it. So let's get into it.
All right, drop it like it's hot, Mark. Let's spoil this thing.
Spoiler alert! I had seen the future and I had to prevent it.
All right, I guess we'll start with things we liked. Iko, you love this movie, so I'm sure you have much to extol of the virtues of Joker.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't understand. I'd have to get your perspective on when you say there's not much movie there, but there absolutely is so much movie there. You know, I had to consume it again, not because I didn't understand the movie, but I had to go back in and sort of reappreciate it and look at it through a different lens once you get to the ending of the movie. And then you start to look up online to see what all these theories and, you know, everyone has like their own perspective on how the movie went down. The movie is about a character, obviously, that is just beat up by society and his arc to becoming the nemesis that we know as the Joker, or possibly the Joker, because some people say that that's not the Joker. It's you know, it's maybe the person who inspires the Joker in the future, or maybe none of the scenes that we watched actually happen, because, you know, you see at the end of the movie that he's talking to a psychiatrist, and she's just, it could have been that he's telling us, you know, his perspective or his weird, you know, kind of like how the, not Jared Leto, God damn it, Heath Ledger's Joker, how like he had like a different origin story, like every time he even brought it up. And that could have been, you know, sort of the same case with this movie, but there was just so much there to like dive into. And I don't think you really need much. You know, you didn't need a Batman for that movie, because that movie was focused on the entire movie is like 90% of the movie. He's in like every shot, which just, you have to give Joaquin Phoenix like credit for just being able to hold this entire movie like on his back. So I don't know. There was a huge character study movie that we all got to watch. And I think that was like the fascinating thing. I think people maybe thought it was too boring, or that, you said that not enough goes on, but like even like a scene like when the movie opens up and he's just like staring in the mirror and tears are running down his face and he's like forcing himself to smile. Like that has so much to it that you can unpack. And there's no words, there's no dialogue until, you know, one of the characters walks in and starts speaking to him. And from like that movie is dark poetry. And I think that's like the best compliment that I could give that movie.
Yeah. I would agree with that. There's definitely a poetry to the storytelling, and it is a character study. It is, and it's a character study around a character that doesn't really have a definitive background or a definitive origin story. So that's why they were able to like play around with it. The thing about this movie is if you take out the Gotham City elements, does it still work as a movie? You know, is this an interesting character that you want to watch, that you want to see what happens to the end? And I don't think that it is. I know a lot of people complain about them trying to like shoehorn the Gotham aspect to it, but honestly, the movie it's okay. I mean, it's good until like the last, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes. And that's when it gets really good. Like the last 20 minutes of this movie is where it's like, okay, now I can understand. Now I can appreciate everything that came before it. But if you take out like the connection to the Batman mythology, I'm not sure this movie really holds up. I mean, it's okay, but I don't think it's worthy of, you know, super high praise other than the performance. It just feels like a regular art house movie. Joey.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's just like everything was just like following him around doing stuff. And it was like, it's like, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory? Like, where's Batman?
Oh, God.
I knew Batman wasn't in it, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what I was looking for like the first half of this movie. Like when he becomes the Joker at the end, I liked everything after that. So once he is fully in the role, like, it was enjoyable and things were happening. It was such a slow burn to watch him descend to that. And I get that's the point of the movie.
Right.
I completely understand. That's the point of the movie. It's like going to Star Wars movie and complaining that there's spaceship battles. But a lot of times I was just checking my phone for what time it was, and it was just so awkward and like off-putting. And I guess, again, that's the point of the movie. But for me, it just was not anything I enjoyed I didn't enjoy watching it. And then a lot of the scenes where he was like imagining it happening, like, thank God, because I was like, how did he get Zazie Beetz?
Yeah, right.
He met her in the elevator and she was creepy.
I'm like, good for him.
Like, is that all you have to do is hang out in dirty elevators and act like a creepo, and you get chicks that look like Zazie Beetz?
No, that's one of the other cool things about this movie is that he's definitely a you can't trust him as a narrator to tell the story. Unreliable narrator, yeah. And there's a lot of that in this movie, which I really appreciated. So even if you don't like the things that you don't like about it, or not you, but people in general, you know, if you don't like the fact that there's no Batman in it, there isn't going to be a Batman in it because he's telling a story. So there probably wouldn't have been a Batman in it regardless. Or maybe the Bruce Wayne that's in it is in his imagination. Like, you can't really.
Maybe he never even did anything other than dance down the stairs. Maybe the whole last half of the movie didn't even fucking happen.
Exactly. There's different levels that this movie works on, but as a surface level, as just like a surface art house movie, I think it's really good. But I think it's the connection to Gotham City is what elevates it to something better.
All right. Well, what about things you didn't like? Now, Iko, you love this movie like your child, but there has to be something in it you didn't like.
That's a great question.
It ended.
I gave this movie a 10 out of 10. It's it's definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. Definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, the more that I keep thinking about this movie, I know that it's just came out, so I still have to marinate on that, but I just can't really particularly think of anything. Like, if I start to incorporate my knowledge of like comic books, like, oh, well, he's way older than Batman, so how old is he going to be when eventually he does run into Batman? Like, things like that I have to sort of just take on its own, because the way that I look at this movie is kind of like an offshoot comic book,
right?
Because there was like this one comic book that I was reading about a month ago called The White Knight, if I'm not mistaken, which is basically Joker is not crazy anymore and he actually becomes a good guy, and then Batman becomes the bad guy. So it's just kind of like an Elseworlds like offshoot kind of thing. So you have to forget, leave your comic book knowledge and lore like at the door and just take what this movie is. But I can't particularly think of anything bad. Like, the way this movie was shot, and you guys know that I'm a cinematographer. Every shot of this movie was just so beautifully filmed, and the music, like, I don't pay, as someone who makes music, it's kind of weird for me to say this, but the music in this movie was fantastic. It was telling a story, like, with every scene. Like, even when there was like no dialogue going on within the movie itself, the music was filling in that portion for the movie. And I don't know, I can't particularly think of anything negative to say. I guess maybe the ambiguous nature of the movie, where you don't really know if what you just watched actually like went down. And I didn't like that at first, but the more I kept asking myself what did and what didn't happen, it made me like the movie more, because you don't really know, because he, like, as you guys said, he's the unreliable narrator. So I don't know. I want to hear some of your complaints, because I can't particularly think of anything that bothered me right away. So I don't know. What do you guys have to say?
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I didn't really have a lot of, there wasn't anything that I didn't really like about it. I just think the pacing was really off in the first like half of the movie. And I definitely understand it ratchets up the suspense. The scene of him at the hospital, in the kids' hospital, doing the clap your hands song, and a gun falls out. Jesus. My heart, I'm like, oh my God, this movie is just going to get really, really dark. But yeah, like, there's nothing, the only thing that I really didn't like about it was I don't know, I guess the way the tracks were laid in the first half of the movie. That stuff I think they could have like, I don't know what they could have done differently, because that's the movie that they were aiming for. It just didn't really connect with me. You know what I mean? But again, back half of the movie, once I was in it, I was invested. And I actually do love the fact that they filmed it in the 80s, or that they made it look like it's an old school late 70s, early 80s movies. I think that's really cool. No one said shit about Captain America when it looked like 3 Days of the Condor. You know what I mean? Like it's a movie that's supposed to emulate movies of the past. So that part I'm totally cool with. You're right. The music is amazing. Cinematography is amazing. The acting is amazing. It has like all of the elements in there. It's just that story just takes so long to get to the good part of the descent that I feel like I was a little bit bored, a little bit, but I did like the end of it.
Yeah, that was pretty much my only complaint, was really how long it took to get where we wanted to go. And it just felt meandering at times. I think once he kills the guys on the subway, I think then we're away. Like, so getting to that point was a little rough. Could definitely have been some cuts or some changes. That's really the only complaint I could think of the movie, was that it was just so slow. That first half of the movie is so slow. And I don't ever want to see Joaquin Phoenix dancing again.
What? Come on.
Once he's the Joker, it's fine. But before he becomes the Joker, it was just like, oh, God, he's dancing again. And he needs to get better underwear, because those tighty whities were like really, really awful.
You're not supposed to be attracted to the dude's underwear, dude. That's the point.
I'm not. I'm just like, good Lord, dude. Could you get some boxer briefs or something? Like, come on, bro. You're never going to get Zazie Beetz showing up in tighty whities.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch this movie again, because like I said, it works on so many different levels. It has a lot to say about just about mental illness and, the world's capacity to, try to help these people that are in trouble. I don't know. It works on a bunch of different levels. To talk about the rich versus the poor. You've never really seen Thomas Wayne. We've only seen him really as the hero that, died protecting his wife and kid. But you don't really get to see him as the guy who's like, not the head of Gotham, but a figurehead of Gotham, that, he has great ideas, but he doesn't really put them into effect the right way, which definitely kind of leads to Bruce wanting to kind of clean up that mess when he's an adult and become Batman. He wants to clean up the city because his father is partly responsible for some of the bad stuff that happened. So
yeah, he's a politician. So
that part I really enjoyed. But again, that stuff only comes because I know of Batman and Bruce Wayne. If you take those elements out of the story, I'm not sure it really works. Or for me. And I'm not sure if it really works for me.
Well, what did you guys think about them using the song Rock and Roll Part 2 when he dances down the stairs? Because Gary Glitter, is the artist that performed it, is a convicted pedophile.
Oh, great.
So there's been a lot of scuttlebutt online about him getting royalties from this movie as a convicted pedophile sitting in prison. So how did that sit with you, Iko?
Actually, I didn't even know about that. But I mean, with a lot of that, you have to separate the artist from the music, which is something I try not to do, because there's a lot of terrible musicians out there who have done a lot of terrible things.
Well, I mean, I could separate, like, if I want to listen to Rollin' by Limp Bizkit, and I know that Fred Durst is kind of a douche, I think that's a little easier pill to swallow than he's a convicted pedophile.
Yeah. Like, I have a hard time, like, especially after that, which is completely different, change the subject for a second, but, like, that after that Michael Jackson documentary, it's like, I can't bring myself to listen to MJ's music anymore. So I
couldn't watch that. I watched like 20 minutes of it, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking sit through this. It's awful. And it just shut off.
It's absolutely horrifying. But no, I didn't even know about that. But I kind of don't care, because it's like a small moment in the movie. But I don't know. I like the slow parts in the movie. I probably would say that my one complaint is, like, once he, when all the crazy shit starts to happen, that's when, like, I wasn't as interested, because I wanted to see more, like, diving into his mind and his psyche. Like, some of the most uncomfortable, that's like the best compliment I could give the movie, outside of calling it dark poetry, is like that movie just made me so uncomfortable. Like when he was doing stand up and he starts laughing because he's like incredibly nervous and like just is completely uncomfortable. That was really tough to watch. And I fucking love that scene. And it was just so brilliant. So I don't know. I'm glad that it wasn't like this action-packed movie with a lot of explosions and a lot of murders. There's really only like 3 or 4 people who like die in the movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like this super violent movie that like everyone keeps bragging about, like, or giving the movie shit for that it's like promoting violence or whatnot. Like the first Halloween movie is more violent than this movie. Friday the 13th is more violent than this movie. But I don't know. There's sometimes where it's, for me personally, it's good for me to just consume a movie that's not just throwing like junk food at me, which is a lot of what DC movies and Marvel movies are. It's just like blockbuster movies. I like movies that take their time. It doesn't have to rely on, tremendous amount of violence or action scenes or explosions or, that Michael Bay formula that, people sort of rag on movies about. Like this was a slow movie and I appreciated that. I could understand, it's just not your cup of tea. My girlfriend, I asked her what she thought about the movie and she said she didn't like it. And I was like, well, why? And she's like, that movie just made me uncomfortable. It was way too real. Like it scared the shit out of me. And that was a really valid complaint. Like she acknowledged that everything else was done well, like the acting, the music, the cinematography was really well done. It made her uncomfortable. It was like she doesn't like watching scary movies, and this was the realest scary movie that I could have brought her to. And that's what the movie did when I watched it and why I appreciated it so much. But I understand your guys' complaints. I guess it's just, depends on your cup of tea, like what you like to enjoy when you're watching your movies. And I don't know, I absolutely loved it. Like I can't wait to see it again and own it on Blu-ray. So.
All right. So I got a quick question. So now that we've crossed the Joker off the list, what is the next Batman villain that should get his own standalone, deep, personal character study movie?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze.
Iko, what about you, man? What do you got?
The first one that comes into mind, like I could already see the movie in my head, would be like the Riddler. I don't need a character study, but more of like there's someone causing all these crimes throughout the city and like leaving like these clues and these sort of like elaborate plans and like for like these set of crimes. And you could have like Commissioner Gordon be like the main character and he's trying to like track this guy down by like solving all his riddles. And you could take the idea of like a heist and spread it throughout the movie and just make it way more elaborate, almost like a puzzle that you have to solve. You don't really know what's going on just because that's what the Riddler does, is like he keeps you on your toes. He keeps you guessing. I think that would be a great movie. It'd be almost like Inside Man, but set in Gotham.
Yeah. Or Seven, like a little bit like Seven.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like Seven. That's actually an even better analogy. So.
Yeah. I think Condiment King would probably be my pick.
Condiment King and Kite Man. Just throwing that out there.
I was going to say, in all seriousness, maybe a mid to low budget horror movie with Clayface.
There you go. That'd be cool.
That's a great idea. All right, Joey, I forgive you. That's a great idea.
Your idea for the Riddler is awesome, and you could definitely spin in all the Gotham Central characters and maybe even have the Question in there. So, we're getting nerdy. Okay. All right, so let's wrap up Joker. Let's get a score. I think we already know Iko's score out of 5, with 0 being the worst and 5 being the best. Iko the Rainman, what'd you have for Joker?
I give this movie a 5.
Shocking.
Just again, like, as I'm not the DC fanboy you probably thought I was, with me not. I know I have the crazy opinions, with Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel, but like I don't care about DC movies anymore. Like I'm probably the least interested in like the Robert Pattinson like Batman movies. Like I just don't care, which is weird. So I took this movie at face value and it just fascinated the hell out of me. So yeah, 5 out of 5.
All right, Marcellus, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. And that's not to say that this movie is. I'm going to have to watch it again for a second time. They're like really absorb it. I've only seen it once. And there's a lot to unpack in that movie. So that score could rise up a little bit. Now that I know what's on the other side of the story. But for right now, first impression, a 3 out of 5.
All right. Well, I went with a 2.5 out of 5.
Ouch.
I know. And it's not like this is Doom Annihilation or something where the whole movie takes place in a room with a dirt floor. Like it's not bad. It's not my bag, baby. And by the time it finally turns into something I find interesting, the movie's got about 15 minutes left. So I can't see myself ever watching this again, but a really good performance from Joaquin Phoenix. Some really cool visuals, some really cool ideas, especially if you, like we said, you start to think about like what is actually happening in the movie and what is in his head. There's some fun stuff to play with. So definitely worth a watch at least once. I just don't think I'll ever watch it again. It's just not my thing. So.
Oh, a question for you guys. They said that there wasn't going to be a sequel to this movie.
Oh, there's going to be a sequel.
But it's about $500 million in the bank for a movie that probably cost them around $50 million, which is like what the rumored budget is. What would you like to see in the sequel? Like what can you see them doing if Joaquin Phoenix were to come back? Do you want him to see him like go up against Batman?
Well, all right. This is what's going to happen is going to be him fighting Robert Pattinson.
That's not going to happen.
What I would love to see would be kind of what you mentioned earlier, Iko, would be to redo the origin movie completely different and then end with the same scene of him in the hospital with the psychiatrist at the end.
That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure how to
like completely different, like have Joaquin Phoenix play the character completely different and a whole other spin on an origin for him.
That's a fascinating take. That's not exactly what I pitched. I said you don't really know what happened. Like it could just be a different origin story, like in a sense of like he just probably just made everything up. Personally, I would have loved to see for a sequel is, all right, now that he's the Joker, how does he become like this gangster sort of henchman? Like, how does he come into power within them? Like, let's say, like the beginning of the second Joker movie, he escapes. Now that he's, a well-known criminal, like, what does he do with that power that he's sort of like, stumbled on? Like, how does he become the Joker that we know? Like, because obviously everything before he, paints his face, like, it's very ambiguous. But like now that he's out there, he could do what he wants. Like, how does he go up against other criminals and like compete with them to become that person that we all know? So I don't know. Maybe have the movie ending with him, running into Batman for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a sequel. I think
there's going to be a sequel.
You think there is? I don't think there is going to be one. Joaquin is one of those.
Joaquin Phoenix said that he's been talking with Todd Phillips about what they could do for a sequel, and he said he wants to work with them again. And when he was asked in an interview just recently that came out probably about a week after the movie came out, would he ever do the movie again? And he didn't say no. He's just like, we're thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So again, when you have that kind of money on the table, it's very easy to sway someone.
Yeah,
it's even said before,
it's on track for $1 billion at this point if box office holds up. So that's insane.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row. It's number one at the box office. Like, people thought this movie was going to open up with like around 50 to 60 million. Like it beat Gemini Man and it beat The Addams Family. Like, and Addams Family, like that, theoretically that movie should have crushed. It's Halloween. It's a CG animated movie. Like, that movie should have opened up way bigger.
No MC Hammer song on the soundtrack this time.
That is true.
I would like to see the Joker save the local teen center through the power of breakdancing. But that's why I don't write movies.
It is the 80s. So, yeah, Turbo and Ozone can show up there.
Oh, my God. That would be amazing. See, and then at the end of the movie, and he could just be like, well, maybe it didn't really happen like that. Everyone's angry and throwing popcorn at the screen. And I'm the only person in the theater thrilled. All right. So let's wrap it up. Let's get some recommendations. Iko The Rainman, tell us a little bit more about your album, where it can be found, and where people can find you.
Yes, you could find me on all social media platforms at Iko the Rainman, IKOTHERAINMAN. That's on everything. I actually just made a TikTok account. I know I'm a fucking tool, but people
I'll have to follow you on there.
Yeah, people have been making the stupidest video. Like, you thought you seen stupid videos, go to TikTok and watch the videos that people post there. Just people are getting crazy amounts of views. I bumped into a buddy of mine the other day, and he's just like, hey, you need to make one. You have a lot of funny videos that you should post up there. And I did, and funny enough, the reaction has been pretty positive. But yeah, you could pick up the album on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon. If you go to IkoTheRainman.net, there'll be a link over there where you could pick up the physical copies of the album. Like I said, I would just love feedback. You don't have to particularly like the album, but just having someone acknowledge your work, as an artist is always very important to the artist himself. You could also go visit my YouTube channel where you could check out all my little short films and my music videos at youtube.com/Operation 5am or youtube.com/OP5TV. It's the same YouTube channel, just different means to be able to get to it.
Awesome. All right, Marcellus. Iko, and besides buying your album and listening to it, any other recommendations for the listeners out there?
It's Halloween month. I've been actually watching, as far as recommendations, I guess I'm going to delve outside of my own circle. I've been watching all the Universal classic monster movies. I watched The Invisible Man last night, and what a fantastic movie. So I would recommend anyone who, is trying to enjoy their Halloween season to just, check out some of the old black and white horror movies that you could find online.
The Spanish language version of Dracula is a fun watch. So
yes, actually, I would consider it a superior film, to be honest with you. It's pretty much shot by shot the same movie, but the acting for that movie, I believe, is far superior.
That's not an unpopular opinion. I will say that. That's all I'll say about that. It's not an unpopular opinion. So how about you, Marcellus? What do you got for the listeners out there?
This week, if there's time when you hear this episode, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is in theaters only for 2 nights for, the regular viewing audience. Obviously, Jay and Silent Bob, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith are going to be doing their tour of the movie all around the country. So, if you have the money and it's not sold out, definitely go see it with those guys. But if you just want to check out the flick this week, there should still be tickets left on sale. I know I will be there. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I am so psyched for this movie.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will recommend that everyone goes to SoWizardPodcast.com where they can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media accounts on the right-hand side of the page. Movie reviews, streaming picks, so much more. SoWizardPodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes/Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just about any podcatching app under the sun. We are there. Check out our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search So Wizard Podcast. There is so much freaking content from New York Comic Con on there. You could spend a whole day just watching interviews and videos that Adam's been making. Great stuff. Cosplay videos, interviews with the cast of Castle Rock Season 2, interviews with Legion M, Super 7. There's so much freaking stuff up there. Just check it out on YouTube. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/SoWizardPodcast. You can monetarily support the show and get extra episodes of the show with exclusive movie reviews we don't do on the regular podcast. We've done Bohemian Rhapsody. We've done the Banana Splits horror movie. We did Dora the Explorer, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So a way to get some extra content and help us out as well. And huge shout out to our Patreons because that certainly helped us pay for our hotel room in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
So that was great. And I will recommend that you follow me on Letterboxd. I just got a Letterboxd account. It is under the nickname So Wizard Breh. So Wizard BREH. And I'm trying to slowly work my way through filling in my movies for 2019 and other stuff that I've watched. So that's really fun. I enjoy seeing what other people thought of things. And I will also recommend that you check out the new Breaking Bad movie on Netflix, El Camino. I haven't watched it yet. I'm really excited to watch it. I'm going to watch it after we finish this because I will be on the podcast, the Nomcast, NOMCAST, with our friend Andrew Morgan from the Connecticut Pod Squad talking about it in the very near future. So check that out. But that, my friends, is going to do it for episode number 271 of the So Wizard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey DiCarlo. my co-hosts. When you introduce them, can you please call him Iko? Iko the Rainman.
Iko the Rainman. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it, guys.
It's a pleasure having you on. You have more talent in your fingernail than the rest of us combined. Please check out his music. It is fucking awesome. And the expert, Mr. Marquis Marcellus Reagans.
I just want to state that the views of the Soul Wizard letterbox page does not reflect the views of...
Oh, no. It's strictly mine. It has nothing. It is clearly listed as mine only.
That's right. Even though it says Soul Wizard, it's all Joey, so don't come at me. But you can't follow me.
That's my nickname for everything, so...
I'm on Letterboxd too, so you can follow me too. Yeah, Eichel, thanks for joining us, man. Everybody, y'all have a good week, and Wakanda forever.
All right, guys, we will see you next week. Remember, future events such as these may affect you in the future. Good journey.
Fez not like me, yo. You do not know, I know. I do not reign, I glow. Go for the gold, I go. Fez not like me, yo. Let me riddle you. Shouts out to the Owl crew. Stand in the rain and I'll show you the wrath of the blade and what my pen can do. Pause, let me interlude. Pause, let me make up an interlude.